Hi, my beautiful subscribers. I wanted to make a video for you all as a thank you for subscribing and helping me in every way, really. Um, Monetary support means a lot, and your, I think, acknowledgement of what it is to create and put into the world is also really meaningful. And I wanted to share something specifically for you. I hope it is of benefit for you today, wherever you're finding yourself. The last couple of weeks have been pretty difficult for me to manage both my energy for mothering, being a human being in this world, being able to temper how much information I take in and knowing what to do with it. And something that I know, and I really strive to practice is the ability to pendulate or flow or stay agile in the face of just ever present constant change and instability. We never know when instability is going to show up. We never know how it's going to show up. We prepare ourselves as best we can to confront challenge. Um, and our nervous system state is simply changing all of the time. There's, the massive nervous system impact of the constant brutal news cycle. And there's also the nervous system impact of um, feeling a little under the weather, having a sick kid, not getting great sleep, exercising too hard, not exercising enough, weather changes. And I think that one of the biggest obstacles I see in the women that I work with is that subtly, under this desire to change and develop, um, you know, default responses or develop capacity for more patience, right? There's this like subtle shame underneath it. So there are a series of behaviors that are shameful. There are things that we wish we would never do again. There are things that we want to stop, quit, eradicate. And part of the agility of the nervous system is being able to dip back into places that are difficult, ugly, embarrassing, and emerge from them. So, we're going to do a little bit of movement here. First, give yourself a moment to simply look around where you are. Oh, you may notice that your eyes sort of dart around initially, or you're not actually taking in much information. That's okay. Maybe go to the shape of an object in your space or the seam where the ceiling meets the wall. And don't ask your eyes to do much. Just move them slowly along that line. So the shape of something, the outline of it, or the seam where your ceiling meets the wall. Oh, notice how that changes things for you. And then come back to your body. And it doesn't matter if you're seated or standing, although if you're seated, my instructions will probably make more sense. So I want you to stir yourself around inside your pelvis. I'm seated with my legs crisscrossed and just starting to move. Just get going. Don't think too hard about it. And then you might notice some spots that feel really good to get into. Ooh. The yawns are a lot today. And then some spots where it feels icky or numb. And can you pull back with your attention and your movement a little bit and approach all of it with curiosity? So I'm going to slow down about 2 notches. I just think of, the volume control. 2 notches, just a little bit. until I can notice, keep slowing down until you can notice a genuine curiosity or openness. Maybe the feeling of something new. Like, oh, that's different in this movement that's pretty basic that you've surely done before. I've got to go pretty slow to get that. And then as you are able to be a bit more curious or open to it, notice what else is going on in your body. If there's any kind of compensation happening in your neck, shoulders, jaw. And then switch directions. I want to bring a little bit of awareness to how you approach the situation. The situation being moving in a circular pattern in your body. I just notice how often I'm moving through my day, my conversations, my tasks with a like, oh, I got this. Like, why the fuck is this important? Subtly operating under the surface. Gotta get this done. That's good information. Because as I slow down and I am able to have that one end of the spectrum stable now, I realize how underneath it what's also going on, or maybe holding the other end of the spectrum, is like fatigue and sadness. That's interesting. Then come to center, and I want you to interlace your hands together and put them on the top of your head. And now make your tailbone, your butt, your pelvis, whatever you can connect to more easily, really heavy. And just like your spine, where the stem of a plant, grow it up into the weight of your hands. And simply breathe here. Try not to do a whole lot with your back muscles. Try not to lift your chin. Just lengthen from the center of your pelvis up through the center of your head. And breathe. Good. And now relax your arms. Slowly open your eyes. And if your eyes are coming to the screen, I encourage you to just go off center so you're not looking at the screen. Your eyes can focus on something neutral, right? So I see, different details on my wall, but I'm not looking at any one thing. I have sort of a neutral gaze. And then with that, I'm pulling my focus back into the head. You can close your eyes if this is too difficult with eyes open, but try to bring your attention to the base of your skull where your spinal cord becomes your spine. You can touch it. I like to palpate to just wake up attention. Notice how it's like a dome there or an arch. And then from that point, slowly, and I mean really slowly, start to turn your head to the right. Eyes can be open or closed, but if your eyes are open, please almost think of them melting back into their sockets. And as you turn your head from that archway at the base of your skull, allow for small adjustments to happen. You'll notice when you start gripping or rushing how much of your body gets involved in that movement. And go until you can't anymore. It doesn't need to be like a really huge movement. And pause. Breathe. And start to make your way back to center. And then do that to the other side. So initiate the movement from this archway, the base of your skull. If you notice your mind going to, what's the point of this? What am I supposed to be doing? Again, simply notice that. Put that at one end of an imagined spectrum. And then the other part is curious about how difficult it is to slow down, or how or why the shoulders just want to do it, why the chin is so busy, or why this part of your body is numb. There's lots to be curious about. Meanwhile, you can still have those thoughts of like, what is the point? Just notice that they're separate and can stay separate. Stay with me. Stay with your body. And then slowly come back to center. Doesn't have to be as slow, but try not to just default back into the rushing. Okay, now with a little bit of this, heightened awareness, you can let your eyes go where they want to go again. Notice how things are now, what it looks like. What you're able to see that you didn't before. And then come back to center. So what we did was not explicitly a pendulation practice, but it is a kind of mobilization of the mind, mobilization of attention, to be able to notice, oh, I like this, I don't like this, or, oh, here's the sort of superficial, most obvious thing that's happening, and then creating the conditions to be able to notice something else, and then holding those two things simultaneously. We might specifically or explicitly guide the attention back and forth between the two. So, for example, in the movement, any one of them that we did could have been the stirring, could have been the hands pressing on the top of the skull, could have been this slow neck rotation that we just did. Likely each of you had one part that you liked and didn't like in gross terms. So when you notice those ends of the spectrum, you just let your attention glide along that spectrum back and forth. I always, or often I should say, notice that my body rocks when I do this practice. And you can simply put your attention there, if the thoughts are too agitating or sticky. Simply to restore some agility and mobility to a rigid stance. And our thoughts are dogmatic, bossy, angry, sarcastic, patronizing thoughts usually also engender or come from a very rigid stance, rigid posture, lacking all curiosity. Let's do just a little bit more movement. I invite you to change the cross of your legs if you've been sitting like me. This is something I learned from a new Qigong teacher that I have. I can't tell you what it's good for. I can just tell you that it feels really good. So you're going to draw your elbows back in your hands as though you're holding something. And then still, hands held. She used the image of ripe mangoes, right? So there's some weight and structure here to what you're holding. Inhale, draw back. You can lift your chin slightly, roll your shoulders back, little arch in the low back, and then exhale, push. Tuck your tailbone under, let your chin fall down. Really stretch the shoulder blades apart. And inhale, draw back. It's like a seated cow-cat, but there's this action in the hands that's important. Exhale, push. Inhale. Let your breath be stretchy, but I also want you to really stay alive with the breath, so it shouldn't become passive here. As long as you're breathing, you're moving. And as long as you're moving, you're breathing. So we make this almost a continuous motion with breath and body. You don't favor one action over the other, one half of the breath over the other. Continue feeling for the possibility of a middle here. So not overly active, but not passive. Not fast, but not slow. Just right. Last time. And come to sitting. Rest your hands in your lap, or you can place your left hand over your low belly and then your right hand over the back of your left. And from this place of relatively stabilized energy, right? Giving the life force energy the opportunity to pool and gather in your center. Here's a clear place from which to discern, what can I do? What must I do? What do I want to do? And then offer yourself some grace to do your best. Thank you very much for spending some time here with me. Thanks so much for being here. I'd love to hear from you how that was and how you're doing.